you let me love you forever, forever? I wanna love you. Will you let me love you forever, forever and a day, 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 day.
Happy Friday. Happy Friday. We are back. And I know I say that often. I know I say it all the time, you guys, but lives. I have I'm a true African. I have 10 jobs. My 10 jobs take me out of the city and I just running around and but we're back. And I know I keep saying we're back, but we're happy to be back. Welcome to TMW Online, the Melanated Way. I am Linda. That over there is Abby. We are just catching up and we're going to be catching up. That's it. That's all we can do is catch up. But what's great is that our catch up commentary is fire. So we are doing season 3, episode 7 today of The Last Resort. And the title is The Last Noble Truth. And, fools be lying to each other. Fools be in marriages lying to each other in marriages. Mm-hmm. And not like a new marriage, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, just lying. Shout out to the live chat. Hey, Lori. Hey, girl. Hey. So that being said, overall thoughts, Abby, of episode 7.
Okay, so I was really frustrated because I feel like there are certain miscommunications that are happening that would be really easy to resolve. So I was just frustrated about why they're getting dragged out.
I think that, and I agree with you, I think that what's I'm seeing at least is that, relationships take work and you have to talk to your partner. And you might think that they know, but if you haven't verbalized it, then they don't know. And even if you verbalized it one time and it didn't register, you have to continue to verbalize it until there are actions behind the words. And so I'm finding frustrating that since episode 1, we started to recognize, okay, this is this couple's issue, this is this couple's issue, and yet the communication is not there. Mm-hmm. And so we're finding that we're getting into the same routine issues over and over again, all the way up until episode 7. So it is frustrating. You guys, I really encourage you, single, complicated relationship, whatever, know yourself, love yourself. If you know yourself and love yourself first and you're comfortable being with yourself, then you're going to be an amazing partner. And then when you're with your partner, you're going to know, because you're already comfortable and happy with yourself, if your partner brings you value. Mm-hmm. If your partner is bringing issues and drama, because you're already happy by yourself. So then you get in the partnership and then you're able to communicate. You're able to recognize what makes you happy and what makes you not happy. And then you can move forward with communication saying, this doesn't work for me, this works for me. I think it's important to talk about X, Y, and Z and move forward. And if you have a partner that is healthy and happy themselves, then you'll just sit down and communicate. Oh my God, I'm a therapist.
You basically are. I think all introspective people have an easier time with being introspective, with seeing things from other sides, mm-hmm. right? I also mm-hmm. think that if you've ever had an opportunity to live in a culture that's not the culture you grew up in, that it's a little bit easier for you to see things from their side. Same with people who are bilingual, culturally bilingual. If you learn another language in another environment, I think it's easier for you to problem solve. And unfortunately, I think the range of the Americans that we have on this show, save Patrick, are not people who've actually lived in another culture or learned another language. And that really limits their introspection and their communication.
I agree 100%. And I have mm-hmm. a note saying the exact same thing, basically. Yes. Go and travel. Go and live somewhere. It's never too late to go and experience that, because traveling helps you really relate to people and it forces you to communicate. And even if you're, an American that only speaks American, having to have that interaction and being forced to understand and try to understand really helps with personal development. Oh, that's so nice. Daisy's is like Friday night with friends. Hello, ladies.
Yes.
Hello. Hey,
I've
Olivia.
been thinking about Lori too, because Lori told us that she likes to kind of just like hang out while she's having dinner.
Wonderful. All right, so let's jump in. They jump in with Cara and Guillermo talking about the kiss they had, the passionate kiss they had the night before. They both felt it was confusing because, oftentimes it does feel like home, especially when you go back to your ex. Like, I have a general rule, like, just don't go backwards. You guys broke up for a reason. And if the person hasn't put in the work, then you're just going to be back in the same spot. But it's confusing to them because that's who they love. And, I see their one-on-ones with the camera and the producers, and you can tell why they got together because they think a lot alike. And if Guillermo would just stop trying to punish Cara and really just forgive her, they could have an amazing relationship. But that's not what's
Hmm.
happening because he wants a trade wife. He wants a wife that no one else is looking at and is in a traditional sense, even though that's not who he married. So
Hmm.
there. Um, Paola, she talks about how Russ didn't do his homework and they're lacking in communication. He is playing victim again and he feels like he doesn't know what he's doing. He literally said, Abby, he doesn't know what he's doing in the bedroom. And her response is, well, you're a man. You should know. And my response is this. Again, you guys are communicating. So she is giving an example how she is satisfying you. And then you just roll over and go to sleep. And then your excuse, Russ, is you don't know what you're doing. And when you talk about it, she's not your teacher, but you're a full ass grown ass man. I feel, and I know you don't like when I talk about you, but I'm still going to talk about you because feedback is always, a third party feedback is always good because they're looking from the outside in. They're not being bitter, Russ. They're just looking from the outside in. And that
Right.
being said, you are a man. Do the homework. There are too many YouTube videos. There's too many corn hubs. There's too many things where you can go out there and educate yourself. And if that's not something that you want to do, you can easily go to your own sex therapist and figure out what will work and what you need to do to put in the work. But to roll over after you've been satisfied is just selfish to me. What do you think, Abby?
I mean, he had a specific assignment. If you guys remember, they were supposed to just travel along each other's bodies and try to identify different erogenous zones. So if he had just at least done that homework, that would have put him a step forward into making Paola happy. But instead, he just got his and went to sleep like he always does. And then he turns around and says, well, I don't know what to do. You didn't even follow the instructions that you were given. So obviously, you don't have a genuine interest in satisfying your partner, Russ.
Sure. Olivia says Russ's lady. Hey, Celestina. Yeah, I mean,
He's lazy, and he's also, there's something worse than lazy happening here, because for years she's telling us this is how he's behaved with respect to her own enjoyment of their intimate time. Like there's something more than like that's kind of sinister. It's a little bit borderline evil for you to think it's okay to constantly leave your partner unsatisfied.
that part. Uh, so all the couples, so there's 3 groups of 4. They're all walking through the wilderness. So we have Jenny and Submit with Shekinah and Sarper. Um, they're lost, but they're not really lost because Shekinah's got this. She is a wilderness survival specialist. And what I loved about seeing this is because she very much comes across as an LA girly. And, the makeup, the hair, the outfits, which I love because, I'm right there with her. But what you guys don't know, and that we do find out, is that she grew up as a wilderness specialist, and she's the one that finds the additional supplies off the beat. She's like she knew the compass, she knew where to go. She was the first to find it, and she was like on it. I was so impressed with her. What were your thoughts, Abby?
Yeah, I'm glad that her survivalist nature kicked in. That was really good to see another side of Shekinah, because we have been left with a bad taste in our mouths of her.
Yep, agreed. Patrick and Thais, they're walking. Patrick thinks he's a survivalist. They had this weird, like, poop, food, constipated talk. I couldn't really wrap my mind around it because you guys know I don't like gross stuff. So when the cameraman zoomed in on the poop, I tuned out because what are we doing here? But I don't feel that Patrick is giving me wilderness survival vibes, but he thinks he is one. Let me know what you guys think in the live chat and watching the replay.
He can be one, but he's not historical because he talked about like the last time somebody used a compass was.
Don't talk about that yet because it's a really major point that I want to bring up. Next group of Cara, Guillermo, Paola, and Russ. Russ is playing victim. So he, last episode we saw him trying to take the lead a little bit, but he feels like Paola is holding a grudge against him. And because she's holding a grudge against him, because she calls him out on his behavior, he feels victimized. And so he now thinks, so why should I even try? You haven't been trying, though. And that's what she's calling you out on. So every time she calls you out, you decide you're going to try less. I feel like there is, a wall, a block there. She's trying to communicate to you what is not making her happy in the relationship. And every time she says that, you internalize it and become a victim. And then now you just don't want to do anything. And that's unfortunate because, again, it comes back to communication. Now, can she maybe soften her words so that because she knows you, obviously, soften her words so that she knows how to speak to you that you can receive it? Yeah, that's possible. But you can't always play the victim. You can't always you got to know that she's saying the same things over and over again, and it's the same few issues. So when do you take responsibility?
Right. I agree with what Olivia's saying. It's the purse issue all over again. Like, you can't keep giving somebody purses as gifts when they tell you that they don't like purses. What they actually want is like a nice necklace. You can't just be like, but I gave you 5 purses and you haven't appreciated me yet. You don't show how much you love me when I keep buying you purses. Like, she doesn't want a purse. She wants a necklace.
Yeah, Olivia says instead of giving what she asks, he wants her to accept whatever he gives. She also makes a great point about Patrick saying, nah, he gives gym bro, not wilderness bro.
Yeah.
So the Cara group, they also found the extra supplies, and it was a combination between Guillermo and Russ and looking in the tree. So they have their extra supplies. One of the things I noticed that I thought was interesting is that I know that they didn't know they were going to the wilderness, but Thais in Uggs in a hike in the wilderness just seemed very uncomfortable. Like, Uggs are comfortable, I get it, but they're not hiking boots. They're just not. So I can only imagine what she was going through like the rocky wilderness of it all.
Mm-hmm.
Next group, Ziad and Rebecca. Ziad's really happy to be in the wilderness with his wife because his complaint, and we've known it since episode 2, is that they don't spend enough time together. She's always working. And so he's happy to be in the woods with her. He's happy to be spending time with his wife, he said, and with no phones. And it's very simple, Abby. He just needs a little bit of attention. Your partner needs some attention. It's the same thing in all times. Even when you start a family, you have kids, you started just the two of you, your partner's going to want the same attention that you're giving the kids. You need to balance it out. You all
Mm-hmm.
don't have kids. You have to work a bunch of hours. I get it. You want a certain quality of life, but you still have to have date nights. You still have to woo your partner. You still have to date your partner, even if you've been with them forever. That's how you start to have problems. And I feel like this is why Rebecca is not understanding that he's just saying, I need some quality time with my wife.
I agree that's what he's saying, but I also understand why Rebecca is having a hard time accepting it, because where is she supposed to pull that time from in their normal lives? This is a special exception where they have time to go in the wilderness. But in their normal lives where she's working 12 hours a day, where is she supposed to pull this time from? So he needs to come with a suggestion. I'm going to start working and cover this, or we can get rid of this bill so you don't have to work as much. Like, don't tell me you want to spend more time together and then I have to figure out how. You figure out how.
But is that what he's saying, Abby? Is he asking her, this is what I need, and also figure out how to do it? Or is he just saying, this is what I need? And between the two of them, they have to figure out how to make that happen. Because they're
Yeah.
not at the point for her to hear him. She's not
Yeah.
hearing what he's saying. She's just mad at the words he's saying, which I'm going to get to later. But part of it is, in my opinion, selfishness, because it's a language barrier. Yes, he speaks
Mhm.
the language, but he doesn't speak it fluently, and it's his second language, if not third. And you've made 0.0 effort to learn his language, and so maybe his delivery comes off wrong because he has a limited access to the English language and the words that he can use, but you are just harping on the words and then you get angry with him. And secondly, I'm just going to have to go all in. Your first mechanism is anger and defense. So instead of taking it in, you are feeling attacked. And I don't know. Well, I do know where it comes from. That's your upbringing. That's whatever your history is. That is your other three failed marriages. But what I'm saying to you is that if you want a different relationship here, if you want this marriage to survive, then you also are going to have to do some work with your communication and your anger. Period. Full stop.
Yeah. Well, do you feel like, relationship question for Linda in the live chat? I feel like if I'm going to voice a problem in my relationship, romantic, platonic, or otherwise, that I also need to present some solutions. I can't stand for somebody to just come to me with a problem with no solutions. So, how do you feel in your relationships?
I mean, I live my life by that. I work for a company where that's our motto. If you couldn't do it the right way, or you came through an obstacle and you couldn't fix it, instead of saying, hey, this is our problem, what's the solution? And I'm going to tell you, I use that in all aspects of my life. What is the solution? Come with the solution. Everyone has problems. We all have life. What's the solution? And I use it every day. I use it in work. I use it in my platonic friendships. I use it in my romantic relationships, all across family, all across the board. What's the solution? So I agree with you 100%. If you have
Yeah.
a problem, communicate what the problem is, figure out some of the solutions that are going to work for you, and verbalize those, and not in a demand form.
Mm-hmm.
Give
Yes.
options. Also ask the other person or people, what are their recommendations? What are their solutions? So that you have a fuller picture and you can all choose amongst them.
Right. That's what's frustrating me about Ziad. Like, absolutely, I'm going to give him all the excuse for limited vocabulary, but I'm not going to excuse the fact that she's saying, I don't have time because I am working all the time, and that he's asking her to do something that she doesn't have time for without presenting any particular solutions. He could just say, I love so much this walk that we had together today, this hike we had together today. I'd love for us to be able to do that at home, maybe on a Saturday morning, instead of, spending Instead of going out to eat 3 times a week, maybe we can eat at home, and then on Saturday morning you can take some time off and we can have a hike.
Again, I also think that there's a language barrier, but I do understand what you're saying. I don't think that he's going to be able to express that as eloquently, even though that's exactly what he wants. Hey, Nikki, Faces Reality. Happy Friday to you as well. She says, Happy Friday, ladies. Ziad has asked for less phones when together. So I think she needs more work-life balance. We were just talking about that, Nikki, and we agree. It's a matter of what is the solution. Okay. Patrick. So Ziad and Rebecca are paired up with Patrick and Thais. They're lost in the wilderness, and I'm not going to get super crazy about this, but I do want to point it out because it's important to me. He pulls out the compass and he's like, when's the last time someone used a compass? The last time I think of was when Columbus founded America. My note says, this tells me everything I need to know about Patrick. Abby earlier, alluded to Patrick knowing that he hasn't traveled, totally like, passport bro, American bro, all the things. And I just want you guys, like, just do a little reading. Learn about history. Because, America, and that's a loose term of it all, it was already here. No one just discovered anything that was already there where people were already living. So just stop it with the nonsense.
Yeah, nobody discovered it. And furthermore, Columbus never set foot in North America.
I mean, Abby, I didn't want to go on a whole...
I will go there.
Okay, go there.
I will go there if you don't want to go there. That man was in Hispaniola, Dominica. He never stepped foot in North America. That is a lie.
Just read
but it's one of the lies that I will give him more of a pass on than other lies, not like historical lies that I mean, because there's so many statues to Columbus and so many things are named after Christopher Columbus that you would think that once upon a time he was here. But no, he stopped, he spread all his diseases to the Tainos and Hispaniola, and then they got him up out of here. Spain recalled him for crimes against humanity. A lot of people don't realize that either. There was a lot of stuff that he was doing that his boys were reporting back to the Spanish crown of what he was doing. And he was put on trial for crimes against humanity for the things he was doing in the islands. Okay, I'm done talking about Columbus now.
Yeah, I'm just saying, do a Google search. If you don't want to read a book, do a Google search and just have some knowledge. Yeah. All right. Hey, Melody is Black. Hey, girl. Hey, you're late, but you're here. Welcome. So one of the things, excuse me, that I think is interesting about Patrick and Thais' relationship is that, they have been talking about divorce and they have not been getting along, and that's why they're on the show. But they come together to be catty about other relationships. Like they're really on the same page when they're dragging other people. And in their one-on-one with the production, Patrick says that Rebecca is the slowest and the weakest when Thais is like, I don't want to be out there. Are you going to protect me? And he's like, yeah, we'll run faster and quicker because, Rebecca is the slowest and the weakest. And I thought it's so interesting that they can't come together and communicate what their issues are, but it's so easy for them to talk crazy about other couples. It's fascinating. Mm-hmm. And then we head over to Shekinah. She is the wilderness guru. So she's got the peanut butter that she got as the extra supplies that she chose. and she got the bread. She's like, let's stop and have some sandwiches, which is sustenance for them. She pulls out the stick, and it was a whole thing because is it dirty? Is it not? Is it gross? Sarper's like, who knows who peed on the stick? I know where my finger was. I don't know where that stick was. I died of laughter. I just died of. How would you feel if you were spreading your peanut butter with a stick on bread, Abby?
I really didn't understand why the stick was necessary, but who am I to judge these people in the wilderness?
How would you spread it?
Why can't we find something better than a stick? I mean, they were allowed to transfer. Okay, so I carry a kiwi knife with me. Like, they were allowed to transfer some of the things they brought with them. Like, I would have just had my kiwi knife.
I mean, not everyone is as prepared as you, I don't think.
That's why I'm like, I won't judge them for using their sticks, but you know, it's just one night. Do I need? Am I desperate enough to eat peanut butter off of a stick in one night? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, y'all. I'll have to circle back on that one because I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel. I would have to be really hungry. I do like peanut butter. We call it peanut butter on a log. So it's peanut butter on celery with raisins.
Mhm.
Drizzle a little bit of honey. It's like one of my favorite things. However, would I don't know what I would do, you guys. Glamping is for me. So that's
This
all
is
I know.
not the life for me.
It's not. Not when I pay all this money for a roof over my head. Like, why am I pretending to be outside unhoused? It's crazy to me. Rebecca wants to take a break. So they all stop. And they too find the extra gear that they were looking for. And they have a little brief moment, Patrick and Thais, because he's worried that she's pregnant because she's been nauseous. Asks her directly to her face, could you be pregnant? She is not ready to be pregnant again because they've only ever been talking about divorce. And like fast forward in real time, we've seen how that plays out. And there's alleged DV that it's been nasty, right? So I get where the worry came from. What are your thoughts, Abby?
I think that people need to know that it's okay to use birth control inside of your marriage. If you're not actively trying to have a child, it is okay. We've had some people who've been on the show before who feel like it's not proper to use birth control inside of a marriage, especially if you have certain religions. But one of the easiest ways to find yourself in a bad situation or in poverty is having more children than you can take care of by yourself. So, as a woman, it would behoove you to be in charge of your reproductive health rather than letting that man be responsible for it. Whether that's, you know, the stop method, I don't think I could say the whole thing here, whether it's the stop method or rhythm or whatever it is, like that, those are all things that the other person has control over, not you. So like take control of your reproductive health. If you're not ready, go get yourself on something.
That's it. So they're trekking away. Shekinah's team is the first to make it to base, which I'm not surprised because she is the wilderness guru. And so now they get to base and they have to build their own tents. And Jenny made the funniest comment that I just died of laughter. So she's like, if we were on our own, we would have been rescued by now. We're indoor cats. I thought that was adorable. She's like, yeah, that's not for me. They meet up with Dr. Tyrone. And one of the things that he explains to everyone is what this whole outdoor journey is about. And it's really about team versus individual, because when you're in a marriage, when you are in a partnership, you're in a team. Are you working as a team or are you working as an individual? And that's what this task was all about. And I would encourage you guys to think about the 3 teams of 4 that we have, which couples were working as teams versus working as individuals. Because I can't say at the top of my head one couple that I thought was working as a couple in a team. Can you,
Mm-hmm.
Abby?
Maybe at the point of the tent, a little bit of Sarper and Shekinah working together to put the tent together, but no, not overall.
Yeah, not overall, which is interesting, right? And I guess that's why they're where they are. Um, so Shekinah's explaining a little bit because she's helping Jenny and Sumit put their tent together because they've never done that before. And they're curious, like, why does she know so much about the wilderness? And she says she grew up like in nowhere, off the grid, with no power, no running water. Her parents really adopted the Amish lifestyle without actually being Amish. And but what they identified was the values. Her parents valued the same things as they felt the Amish people did. So she grew up and they showed great photos of her growing up, no makeup, no jewelry, head coverings, full to full clothing. And what I thought was an interesting point, Abby, was how she said it's opposite to who she is today. You know, she's an LA girly, makeup, hair, nails, all the things, all the things. Um, and I think that when people talk about, you know, how you grew up and your history, all of that, it definitely plays a part in who you are today. And do you agree or disagree with that?
Oh, I agree. And I wouldn't even say that she's 100% the opposite of who she was then. Like, clearly she's into material things now, but she's still very conservative.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
she said she was raised conservative. It still seems as though she is conservative. Her friend group seems to still be very conservative. So it's not like she has suddenly exposed herself to a bunch of diversity. She just got into fashion and makeup.
That part, because we also have not forgotten what you said about the immigrants. That being said, the second group in was Rebecca and Ziad, Patrick and Thais. And they get there, they find out they have to build their own tent, and Patrick and Thais are already fighting about it on how to put the tent together. Thais doesn't even really want to do it, so it's like a whole thing with them. Um, and what's crazy is like what I said earlier, because then they made their fight about Shekinah. So because they can't verbalize and communicate their issues between each other, they bicker, but they don't address it. Instead, they focus their bad behavior and anger towards someone else. So now, what are they mad about? They're mad that they have to spend the night in the wilderness with Shekinah.
Mm-hmm.
That's really not the issue, but you guys can join on being terrible to other couples and other people and ignore your problems. But again, I'm going to tell you guys, everywhere your problems are in your relationships, they're going to still be there. You
Mm-hmm.
can ignore them, and I actually would say that they're going to get worse. Hey, Radella. Hey, girl. Hey. Last group in. No one knows where Guillermo, Paola, Russ, and Cara are yet. They haven't arrived. Maybe 5 minutes later, they finally arrive. It's nighttime. Fire's already going. Everyone's already around the fire pit. And Dr. Tyrone is going to go through and ask each couple about the hike, starting with Jenny and Sumit. So Jenny and Sumit felt the hike was good for them. Sumit explained how he held his backpack and Jenny's backpack front and back, which was a metaphor for how he feels in his relationship with Jenny. So he feels that he has a lot of weight on him and a lot of stress on him because he's balancing family, his parents, and his wife. And Jenny says, well, you know, part of that also stress is you're not working. The cafe that they started didn't work out. And she doesn't want to live with his parents anymore. And she's never wanted to live with them. So they're in a crazy situation. We find out for the first time that the reason that they moved to the house was because Jenny and Sumit had no money. right? Jenny had her money coming in from her pension, but Sumit was not working. And dare I say, besides when he was catfishing when we very first met him, 15 years ago, he hasn't had a job.
No, not anything lengthy.
So they got to move in with his parents. Now, I have feelings about grown men who haven't had stable work history, because that just tells me that you don't want to work.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that tells me. Because you could go back to school. I mean, let me not get started. So he hasn't worked in a long time, but now we find out that he has been paying the parents rent. First of all, that is not the reason you all moved to the house. You moved to the house to save money because you weren't working and you couldn't afford to be out on your own. Now it sounds to me like however they raised you is how they're reverting back. So you not having a drive to be out in the workforce, now they think that they're going to take advantage of this Westerner because you're not bringing any money in. So the rent that they're paying, the rent that is getting paid is obviously from Jenny's pension because you have no money. And now your parents stop paying. It sounds to me like that value transferred over to you. And so what do? You say you feel pressure, and after a few months, when your parents stopped paying rent, you took out a $15,000 to $20,000 loan so that you can continue to pay the rent for the whole household. Make that make sense. So now you're further in debt, and you're literally dragging your wife down in debt with you without having a discussion. When you said you moved in the house to save money, I just need to know. I just need to know what's going on here. Because it sounds to me like y'all are trying to scam the Westerner who doesn't know any better because she wasn't informed. What are your thoughts, Abby? Before the TED Talk.
I didn't even honestly didn't think about any kind of scam. I was trying to understand what is happening culturally where the parents just stop paying and Sumit takes it upon himself that he has to take over with no conversation between the parties. He just said, I don't know what happened. My parents stopped paying, so I took over paying. Like, what is happening culturally that the parents felt this was okay and that Sumit just rolled with it? Is this the reason they wanted him to live with them in the first place? Is that the reason why they want the younger kids with them? Is because they want the kids to take on the financial burden of the household? Is that culturally acceptable, or is that something that's just happening in this family? I was stuck on trying to figure that out. Because it's like, if we go to eat, right? And I go out to eat with my parents, my parents are gonna pay. Like, that's just how it's been for all the years of my life. If the bill came to the table and just sat at the table, I wouldn't just pick it up and be like, okay, now I'm gonna pay. I'd be like, so what's up with there would be a conversation. What's up with the check? It's just been sitting there for a while. What's going on? So, like, what is happening culturally here?
I mean, I get what you're saying, because, yeah, I get what you're saying. I didn't think of it that way, because culturally, the kids are going to pay in African culture too, right? I never thought of that, but
and you don't talk about it. It's just like, you just know that you're going to pay.
Yeah, but then, it's also multi-generational households. Like, you're not going to make your parents pay rent. Like, that's just weird. So that's a good question. That's a really good question. I'll have to think about that. But back to Sumit and Jenny, he didn't discuss it with his wife. And so Jenny feels that he doesn't respect her at all. And she's wondering, why are they in therapy if they're not going to be honest so deep into their marriage? Paola says, you need to live your life because your parents have already lived their life. So you can't live their life for them. And Sumit's response is he can't leave his parents. They're still around. And he made it very clear that his parents are his first priority, even over his wife. He made that very clear. So Jenny got up. She's done with the night. Dr. Tyrone, the therapist, really made it clear that Submit needs to have and start to have some boundaries around his marriage because he's putting himself last and pulling his partner Jenny down with him. And I couldn't agree more.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you want to add to Jenny and Submit before I move on?
Nope. Let's move on.
Patrick and Thais, they felt like today that they were making progress. They really felt like they were getting along, but he also has questions about Thais and Brazil. Feels like she's been lied to. Feels like he's been lied to. He talked to his brother Johnny. You guys remember Sparkle? And Johnny is allegedly good friends with Thais's dad, so his father-in-law, who doesn't speak English very well, but apparently Johnny and him are besties. I mean, okay, I'm just gonna believe it for now, but my mind doesn't believe it, but I'm just gonna go with it.
Mm-hmm.
And he feels like there are still things that Patrick doesn't know that Thais has not told him. So Johnny is basically stirring the pot in a relationship that he should not be in. Your relationship should be with you and your partner, and that's that. And I continue to tell you guys, excuse me, I've been doing so much talking because I talk so much. My bad. I continue to tell you guys that if you do not want your friends and family to hate your partner, then don't drag them into the dirt in a fight that you're having that you're just going to make up in 2 hours, because you're going to forgive your partner. Your friends and family are not. Your coworkers are not. They're going to remember the crazy moment unless it is detrimental to your health, physically, emotionally, or spiritually. If you're in a DV type of situation where you should be screaming at the top of your lungs to everyone that can hear you. But if Bob left the toilet seat up and you went to sit down and you fell in the toilet and now you're mad and now you want to tell all your business all across the place, guess what? Everyone's going to remember that, even though you got over it an hour later. So
Mm-hmm.
decide what you're saying to people and decide who you're bringing into your relationship. Because if you're going to be over it in an hour, then you don't need to drag everyone into it so that they can remember how terrible Betty was when they forgot to pick up the chicken or defrost the chicken, and you're making a big deal about it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Exactly. Precisely. I agree.
The important stuff. If your person is terrible and harming you, yes, scream and tell everyone because they will tell your story for you.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's BS, then keep it between the two of you so that you can have a healthy, happy relationship. That being said, they've added Johnny and the dad, Carlos, to the relationship. And so Patrick is at, like, why is her dad telling my brother something happened? And Thais is like, nothing happened. Bring the receipts. Everyone else is like, you need to side with your wife. Why are you so quick to believe everything bad about your wife? Because that, to me, personally, to me, Linda, says more about who you are and your insecurities than it has to do with your relationship. Because if you want to just believe everyone else when you are supposed to be the closest with your partner, but you believe everyone else, that tells me that you're very insecure about yourself and this relationship. Faye says, stop involving your family and friends in your relationship. Not everything is their business. That part.
Especially family that you know doesn't like you. Like he knows that John has an issue with Thais, so why would you continue indulging that kind of conversation?
Yeah, 100% agree with you. She also says Patrick's problem is he's a coward. He will not go and confront his problems with his wife, but he will go tell his brother to do it for him. That part. So Thais is like, Johnny wants to destroy our marriage. That's all he's ever wanted to do. He's never been on board. And so for you to believe every little thing that he says is discouraging to her. Patrick starts to break down. He starts crying or at least tearing up a little bit because he doesn't want his daughter. And this is the only time, Abby, I feel like he was actually being real and vulnerable and communicating his needs, his wants, his insecurities, and where he needs help and therapy to have the proper tools to deal with his childhood trauma. This is the only time that I've ever felt like he was being open and honest. So he says in his breakdown that he doesn't want his daughter to deal with having two single parents, that he grew up in a divorced household, and he thought his parents didn't love him. And Thais feels the same way. She grew up in a divorced household as well. And his belief all growing up is that when he got married, he did not want that for himself or his family. And now he's in a situation where he feels like they're not living like they're a married couple. They're living like two single parents raising a kid under the same household.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor said, what I keep saying to you, you need to keep dating your partner. Even when you have them, you need to date them. You need to make time for them. Same thing that I'm talking about Ziad and Rebecca. I don't care if you're working 16 hours a week. Figure it out. Make a date night, whether that's once a month, once a week. Make time for your partner. You two came together. You are the pillars of the relationship. If you do not pay attention to the pillars and they start to erode, don't be surprised when the foundation falls apart. That's it. That's all. You bring kids into it. You're only focused on the kids. Guess what? Your marriage falls apart. You bring a third party extramarital affair. Someone finds out, their feelings hurt. Guess what? The marriage falls apart. You spend too much time at the casino or at your friend's house or at the club or going to dinner or to bingo or to your PTA meetings. Guess what? The marriage falls apart. I'm just trying to tell you, make time for each other, or guess what? The partnership is going to fall apart. That is just simple logic.
Right. I agree.
Do you want to add anything before I move on to Rebecca?
No, let's go. Rebecca and Ziad.
Ziad feels like they're getting along because there's no phone. They've had good communication, he feels, thus far. And he's talking about the communications that they've had in their individual one-on-ones with the Dr. Tyrone. Okay. That's what he means. He didn't verbalize it because, again, limited English, but that's what he means. I knew exactly what he meant. And also, they've had some intimacy, so he's having a great time. He is equating this great time and them really getting along because they're spending time together. And when someone is starved for attention and affection, any little attention and affection, they're going to think everything is great. And that's what's going on here. Have they addressed their deepest issues? No. But he's getting the little bit of attention and affection that he's been craving. And not just like a little bit, Abby, like you're in therapy because this is what this person has been craving, but you guys haven't been able to communicate that this is all of it. So that being said, he goes on to say that work affects their relationship. She's always busy at work. And he says, I hate my life. You ruined everything. And she responds with material things. She's like, what are you talking about? I work 16-hour days. We live in Florida. We live at the beach. You drive a Mercedes. And while whatever makes you happy, if it's the material and the fine things in life, great. I'm not mad at that. I love bags. There are certain things that people just, that's the quality of life you want, and that's what makes you happy. I get it. But you also have to listen to your partner. So yes, he drives a Mercedes and he's living on the beach, but he's literally saying to you, your time and attention is more important to me. You got to listen to your partner. Like Abby said, if your partner says, hey, I'm going to buy you another Gucci bag. For me, that would be great. I would be like, woohoo! That is my love language. But if you are, like Abby said, a jewelry person and you never use those bags, but you would love a beautiful necklace, but they buy you the Gucci bag and not the necklace, even if the necklace was from Claire's, it's the necklace that they like. You guys are not speaking the language. So you guess what? You're not living your best lives because you're not listening to what makes your partner happy. That being said, Rebecca. I definitely am learning a lot about Rebecca this season. And so this is my personal opinion. I think that she takes everything in defense and anger and doesn't have an open listening ear. So she feels that all of what Zia just said is him trying to be hurtful, trying to hurt her. And she kind of jumps in there a little bit and sticks up for Ziad and says, hey, let Ziad finish what he was trying to explain to you. Because again, English is his second language, but instead, Rebecca freaks out on Shekinah, which I get because Shekinah said some things in the previous episode that were racist and pissed everyone off. So I get how she would be defensive, but also Rebecca's first inkling is to be defensive and to be on the attack. So she attacked Shekinah, cussed her out, said, let us deal with our own issue. Even though I did agree with Shekinah, you're expressing your issues in a group setting, group therapy. So the group is going to have opinions. So, but I get coming from Shekinah after what she did and has not apologized or addressed what she did. I get why that would be a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
So my thoughts are, again, Ziad, it's a language barrier. So when he's saying to Rebecca, I want you to be like a real wife, she freaks out. She tells Shekinah to STFU, and then all hell breaks loose. Patrick and Thais jump in. They say, it's crazy that Shekinah's jumping in on this because Shekinah just talked racist the other day. And, I would stop talking crazy to Rebecca because Rebecca is going to basically kick her butt, throw her in the fire. And with all that plastic, who knows what's going to happen. Again, here you see Patrick and Thais not dealing with their own issues, but being nasty towards someone else. They unify in that. It's a weird thing for me to see. Cara and Guillermo thought Rebecca needs to chill, but they got why she attacked Shekinah because, again, everyone's not impressed with Shekinah because she hasn't addressed her racist thoughts and attitude and words from the previous episode. Saeed says he wants to feel married, and that is such a loaded statement, Abby, but I also really understood what he meant. He has very traditional beliefs of what marriage is, and that's what he wants. So he wants, quote, an amazing wife and a good life. Rebecca did not like hearing that, but Dr. Tyrone, is trying to help Rebecca with her words. And I thought that this was really important because Rebecca is basically, how dare you say you want a real wife? And that's what she latched onto, the words and the hurt that those words gave her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So oftentimes when people talk to you, it's important to know how to address people and also know how to receive those words. So if you're hurt and broken, like I think Rebecca is, she is taking everything as an insult, as an attack, and that's why she's defensive and angry. So instead of trying to think, hey, my husband doesn't speak English as his first language, and he's saying, I want a real wife, like Dr. Tyrone said, instead of saying it in a negative way, in a response where, why did you say that you wanted a real wife? Say instead, well, what does a real wife look like for you? Communication.
Yeah.
But she's coming from a place of hurt. She's coming from a
Hmm.
place of anger. She's coming from a place of fear. I think she's coming from a place of insecurities. And because she doesn't have the tools in her toolbox, excuse me, to express that, it comes out as anger. What do you think, Abby?
I agree with everything you're saying. I think that the doctor could have taken it a little bit of a step further because we're all focused on trying to make Rebecca understand what Ziad is saying, which is fair. She needs to take more time and be more patient to understand what he's saying. But I think we need to go the other way as well and help Zaid understand what Rebecca is saying so that they both can be working on it. Like he could have gone further to say, do you know what the financial obligations are of the household? Like do you guys talk about the finances together? Is that a conversation that you can start having so that he can understand why you're working so many hours a day and figure out where we can take some of the load off of you, or if there are things that you don't want to work with. That way they're both working towards having that free time together. And then maybe Rebecca wouldn't feel so attacked if it wasn't everybody's jumping on her to try and figure out her communication better. She could feel more supported, like, okay, we both have things that we need to work on.
100%. I'm going to add Olivia's comment. Instead of assuming, they could ask more clarifying questions. And I'm going to piggyback off of that and say, Abby and I talk about this all the time. Before you get into any type of serious relationship, you got to have these conversations. You got to have the conversation. One of the things that we stress all the time is you have to have the finance conversation. You have to talk about your finances. How do you spend money? How do you save money? What do your finances look like? What did they look like before? What are your future goals? All of those questions, you have to have the hard conversations. If you have 10 bankruptcies in your past and you haven't told your future
Mhm.
fiance, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
If you have a secret trust fund that you don't want to share with your future spouse, that says a lot about who you are in your whole relationship, but it's going to come out. And then what? You have to have the conversations. If you feel like you want to have the best life, and to you that means working 16-hour days to provide that best life, then that's part of the money conversation. I
Hmm.
make X amount of dollars, so therefore I have to work X amount of hours to provide the lifestyle that we both crave and want to attain. What is that going to look like for our relationship? How are we going to supplement the time away in order for us not to drift apart? Listen, y'all, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do, I'm gonna do a therapy podcast, and I'm gonna be faux Dr. Linda because I'm not a real doctor. Lisa.
Also, randomly, I just want to, every day I love Sarper more and more
Mhm.
because his self awareness is so amazing. In his confessional during this whole situation, he says, I agree with what Shekinah said, but I'm not going to say it. Nobody wants to hear from either one of us right now, especially
Mhm.
not her.
Yep.
Like self awareness on
Yep.
point.
100% agree with you. So Dr. Tyrone was trying to help Rebecca reword her response. And just like what Abby said, Ziad was trying to say this is the type of, he wants a traditional life, is basically what he's saying. And Sarper wanted to say something and weigh in, but it's exactly what Abby just said. Self-aware. He's like a different person than we first met. And we both we both really enjoy him now, which
Hmm.
is a testament to, if you do the work, you can make the changes. He clearly did the work and is continuing to do the work. Now, no one's perfect, but he's not the same character that we met years ago. Everyone's up in arms. So the doctor says, let's do a break and let's reset. And so everyone walks away from the campfire to reset. And guess who is screaming and yelling? Guess. Someone in the live chat, guess. Who's screaming and yelling in the break? Anyone? Abby, who's screaming
You're
and yelling?
a bad husband. How does that make you feel to hear that? How does that make you feel? You're a bad husband. How does that make you feel?
I thought that was a really disgusting low blow. I thought it was really, really disgusting. So if you don't know who we're talking about Rebecca and Ziad. And here's what the doctor said. The doctor said there's a limited way Ziad can utilize his words and communicate. And that was such a powerful statement. But because she was riled up, it didn't register with her. She didn't hear what the doctor was saying, which is the cusp. It's the cusp of their issue. If she could have heard what the doctor was saying, Ziad has a limited way he can utilize his words and communicate with you. The cusp of your issues. But she wasn't hearing it. She went off on a tangent. She felt hurt. And what's the saying? Hurt people hurt people. She felt hurt, so she needed to hurt her husband. And then she also needed to raise her voice and be in anger. And in so much anger that she didn't even hear what the therapist was telling her that was going to help her change and improve her relationship. And I want you guys to hear me, because oftentimes that's all it is. Take a minute to not be in your, take a breath.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that person hurt you. Take a breath, let it register. And the first thing that you don't have to just attack back. You can take a minute and see, because sometimes you're coming from hurt, so you want to hurt the other person. And that doesn't make anything better at all.
It doesn't.
I thought it was sad when Ziad was saying, give me a chance to talk. Give me a chance to talk. He said it multiple times. And then he turned to the doctor who has helped him communicate so far and said, this is what I'm talking about. And the doctor said, these were his last words in this episode, that Rebecca is not factoring in the language barrier.
In multiple different ways. She's not factoring it in when he's talking. She's not factoring in for her to learn it. It's not just the one way. Like, she's not factoring it. And even when you are speaking the same words to each other, sometimes the way that you interpret those words are also different. Like, the way he might be learning them is different. There's a lot of things that she's not accounting for. And it's going to be to her detriment, because he actually does seem like he wants to be with her.
He really does seem like he wants to be with her. He seems like he loves her, and he seems like he's trying the best to his ability. Now, is he perfect? Absolutely not. But he's trying, and he's trying to communicate the best he can to say that this is what's making me unhappy. And I'm going to leave you guys with this. So, as a Canadian, not growing up with the same foods as American, I can really relate to what Ziad was saying. And so when Rebecca said, well, I'm a chef and I used to try to cook for him, but he doesn't like American food. And that's all she said. So the running joke with a lot of my coworkers is, and don't come for me, this is just my personal opinion about this specific thing. I just don't understand what the big deal is about Chick-fil-A. I don't like it. I don't think it's good. My colleagues can eat Chick-fil-A every day, especially the breakfast stuff. They love it. They want it delivered. They want all the sauces and the jellies and the things. And I can't, right? It just like upsets my stomach. And so I can relate to Ziad saying, well, there's some certain American foods that we're just not used to. And so we don't like it. And that's okay. But as a chef, Rebecca, My question to you is, did you ever offer to make something that you know that your husband would enjoy? And if that's a cultural food, even if you haven't made an attempt to learn his language, which you haven't, perhaps you can make a meal that is comfort food for him that would bring him joy. Like I love fufu. I love jollof rice. I love spinach stew. I love peanut. Like I can go off on the Guinean food that I love, and my mom will make it for me so that I can bring it home and have comfort food in the comfort of my own home.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm feeling sad or lonely and I have my comfort food, then that's great. Think about that. Think about you're working 16 hours a day and maybe he's having his culturally comfort food at home and smiling because you made it with your own hands, and that makes him happy because it could be that simple.
Yeah. I really wanted somebody to ask what she meant by American food because that could mean so many different things, actually. And my bias towards people who look like Rebecca and are from where she's from, so I could be very wrong. My bias is when she says that she made American foods for him that he didn't like, is that she was making a bunch of casseroles.
I mean, I
So
don't
I
know.
would like to know what exactly she was cooking.
I would like to know too. Faisy says same. Chick-fil-A is a gross gag.
Daisy, where are you from? I don't know that we've ever asked.
And also, what's considered American food? Because to me, as a Canadian, American food is like any fast food, like burgers and fries and ranch dressing. Y'all
See?
love you some ranch dressing, burgers, fries, hot dogs, ranch dressing. That to me is American food.
And that's the reason why somebody needs to ask the question. Because for me, American food is very different depending on who you are talking to.
Okay, so what's American food?
So for me, I'm Southern. I'm a Black American Southern person. Hog mog, collard greens, macaroni and cheese, turkey necks. Like those are cultural foods that I would eat any given Sunday if we're having like a big meal, right? If you're talking to somebody who's in New England, obviously they eat like a lot of chowders, right? Somebody in the Midwest, they do a lot of casseroles, they do a lot of gelatin, they do a lot of fruit desserts, like fruit and gelatin desserts. If you're talking to somebody who's in like the Mississippi, Louisiana area, they eat a lot of French native inspired foods, the etouffee, the jambalaya, those are normal red beans and rice every day. That's normal food for them. So depending on and all of these places, you're going to have a Black America and a white America, okay? Because like when I went to college, we did like a potluck thing, and one of the girls brought a chess pie, and she's Southern. I'm Southern, she's Summer. She brought a chess pie. I was like, what the heck is this?
I've
Like
never heard of that. What is a chess pie?
it was like a water pie with a caramel crust. See, that's not going to help you understand either.
Because I was like, a water pie? What is that?
It's like water and flour beat together with like a caramel crust.
No, thank you. Listen, it sounds American food sounds very complex and very diverse, and good on y'all. Good on y'all.
Yeah.
Live chat. What do you consider American food? Let us know where you're from and what American food is to you, and let's have a whole conversation next show about what that looks like. Faziz, North Carolina. All I know is there's a song, North Carolina. Do you know what song I'm
Take your
talking
shirt
about?
off. Turn like a helicopter. North Carolina folks are very popular for their barbecue and their hot, spicy chicken. I'm sure they have other stuff that I'm not familiar with, but yeah, we need more information. Rebecca, what is the American food that you were cooking for that poor man? Because I don't know. I just have a feeling it was the worst of us.
Yeah, I just want to know what is considered American food. Let us know. But Abby, I was saying, do you know that song that goes North Carolina? That's the only part I know.
Come on and raise up. Take your shirt off. Twist it around your head. Turn like a helicopter. Yeah, it's Petey Pablo.
Yeah, that song. Hey,
Yeah.
Aziz, I love that song. If that represents you guys, I'm coming to North Carolina. All All right, you guys, that is a wrap for our show. We will be back. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And you guys, we have so much going on. Make sure you head over to our personal pages as well. Abby the Attorney, Linda's So Girly on Instagram, TikTok, all across social media. You're missing out on some really great, like, if you like travel, if you like food, if you like celebrities, you like red carpet, all of that stuff, you're missing out. So come on over and follow us and join in the fun. Until next time, toodles. Bye.